Tonight, parents of a young boy with special needs are calling for his school to take action after he was allegedly slapped.
So he grabbed her hand, so her action was slapping him in his face, on his face.
The parents want the school to install cameras in the classroom. They've also filed a complaint with Halton Police. Plus,
the likelihood of loosening restrictions mid-January is next to zero.
New COVID-19 modeling shows ICU admissions are expected to rise even without taking the Omicron variant into account. And
that stresses me out. That's a little stressful.
Expect even more downtown gridlock. The city's executive committee approves construction of 6 new downtown stops as part of the Ontario Line, a project that will last at least 7 years. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. The parents of a boy with special needs say they are concerned about his safety after he was allegedly slapped by an education assistant. The 12-year-old attends Falgarwood Public School in Oakville. Now, his parents are now calling for security cameras to be installed in his classroom. But a lawyer and special needs advocates say that may not be the best solution. Dahlia Ashry has this story.
12-year-old Sammy Joanie has cerebral palsy and autism. He is nonverbal. He spends most of his days at this school in Oakville in a special needs class. 2 weeks ago,
one of the EAs slapped Sammy on his face when she was dancing with him.
Another education assistant witnessed what happened and reported it to the school's principal, who then informed the family.
He grabbed her hands in a tough way. This is usually Sammy's doing, and maybe he's upset from something, maybe he's sometimes happy, so her action was like that.
Abir says it's not uncommon for her son to scratch or bite those around him. She says his teachers are aware of this. Now, she says she fears for his safety.
I'm scared because I can't know what's happened in the class. I will be more comfortable if they have cameras in the classes.
But in a statement, Halton District School Board says installing cameras in classrooms is not being considered because of issues of privacy for all students in the classroom. While security cameras can be found in some school hallways, this lawyer says installing them in classrooms is a more complicated matter. She says that kind of constant surveillance of staff and students could pose a legal risk.
School boards are regulated by public sector privacy legislation, which has very strict requirements around the basis on which school boards and then in turn schools can collect personal information.
She suggests a less invasive approach.
More human oversight, more individuals dropping into or present in a classroom instead of thinking about constant surveillance.
A support group for Black families of children with special needs agrees.
I don't think cameras necessarily is going to create safety.
The group recommends examining the roots of the matter.
Is there frustration that's happening because of system or because that person doesn't have the competency to do this work?
What supports need to be put in place to support that teacher, to support that classroom, to support that child?
The school board says they cannot comment on the employment status of the EA, but they are aware of the incident and are investigating. Abir says the EA is no longer in the classroom, but should she be allowed to return, they plan on removing their child and transferring him to another school. Dahlia Ashry, CBC News, Toronto.
Toronto's Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Eileen Davila, is taking a leave of absence. She undergoes surgery tomorrow to remove precancerous cells in her breast. In a statement, Dr. Davila says the cells were found during a routine mammogram this summer and that further treatment will be determined after the surgery is done. She is urging other Torontonians to get routine screenings for early detection and treatment. While on CBC's Power and Politics today, Mayor John Tory took the opportunity to thank Dr. Davila for her hard work during the COVID-19 pandemic and wish her a speedy recovery.
She's going to be back on her feet before no time, but we've all got her in our thoughts, and she's just been a great partner, and we're looking forward to having her back, which she will be sooner than probably she should be.
Dr. Davila is planning to return to work in about 2 weeks on December 20th. Toronto's Deputy Medical Officer of Health will take over in the meantime. Ontario's chief medical officer is urging anyone who still hasn't been vaccinated to get their shot as soon as possible. New projections from the Science Advisory Table show COVID-19 could once again strain our hospitals, starting as early as next month. Lorena Redekop has the details.
For many people, holiday plans are already underway.
I plan on going back home to Vancouver for the holidays, and I already have my flight booked, so as of now, yeah, I'm still planning on going home.
But today, warnings to keep those gatherings small.
If you plan large gatherings with your families, do them in summer, please, not now. It's not the time to do those. Do it small, elegant, safe, few people.
That's as the Science Table released its latest projections. It says ICU numbers will likely grow to between 250 and 400 beds in January, putting hospitals under strain. Today's ICU number is 165. Earlier in the pandemic, it hit over 800.
There is a lot of anger and frustration again in the health system in Ontario's hospitals. It's distressing, it's saddening, but it's infuriating because it's avoidable.
He says this time around, healthcare workers are already exhausted. The Science Table showed unvaccinated people have a 13 times higher risk of being admitted to hospital, 23 times for ending up in the ICU.
The modeling is disconcerting. All of the cases, for the most part, are preventable. It saddens me deeply to see the vast majority of individuals in our intensive care units, they're unvaccinated.
But he says hospitals do have capacity right now. The Science Table's projections show cases could rise to almost 3,000 a day. More vaccinations, especially among young children, could lower that, as would more restrictions. Right now, having to show a vaccine certificate is set to end as early as January 17th. The chief medical officer says he and the government will reevaluate in the new year.
The likelihood of loosening restrictions mid-January is next to zero.
Uni says based on what he's seeing in other parts of the world, Omicron will take over in Ontario. The Science Table's new projections don't take the new variant into account. He says one positive is that based on early evidence, it appears vaccines do work against the new variant. Lorena Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Premier Doug Ford's government is extending its COVID-19 sick pay program beyond its scheduled expiry at the end of this month. Ontario's COVID-19 Worker Income Protection Benefit was launched back in April, requiring employers to provide all their employees with up to 3 paid days off for a range of reasons related to the pandemic. It's now being extended to July 31st of next year. But the Labour Minister says the numbers of paid sick days each employee can take will not increase.
It'll be 3 paid sick days for each worker for the entire pandemic, but they're being used for what they were intended for, to get their kids vaccinated. If a son or a daughter needs to stay home from school, they can use a paid sick day. If they need a mental health day, they can use the paid sick day.
Data shows that employers have been reimbursed more than $80 million in wages for sick day claims. That means the government hasn't even used 1/10 of its budgeted $1 billion allocation for the program. Meteorologist Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first look at the forecast. And Colette, it's a toque, scarf, mittens kind of day. Really cold out there.
Yeah, we're having to adjust right to that drop in temperatures. Also an adjustment with our winds as they're changing direction a little bit. Some weather advisories basically in the lee of Lake Huron or along the Bruce Peninsula, but also in the lee of Georgian Bay here, where we're going to see areas picking up a little more snow in some cases, 3 to 5 centimeters in about an hour's time, and reduced visibility. Daytime highs, in some cases here, I have to tell you, the daytime high actually came just after midnight because it was still the, and I put air quotes around this, warmth of yesterday, and then that temperature was falling. So we kind of creep back up to the similar levels into the afternoon, but it was really, really a struggle. And then, of course, you have to factor those wind chills in there. So what is ahead? Well, some flurries as we go into tomorrow. We'll see some of that light activity. We shouldn't really see accumulations closer to Lake Ontario, and some late day clearing getting in here, but probably too late for us to enjoy much of that sun, but there'll be a little bit. -7, feeling like -10 with some lighter winds coming our way, and that daytime high, Kelda, not quite freezing, up to -1.
All right, thanks so much, Colette. The NHL has suspended Maple Leafs forward Jason Spezza 6 games for his hit on Winnipeg Jets defenseman Neil Pionk. Spezza hit Pionk in the head with his knee during Toronto's 6-3 loss to the Jets on Sunday. Spezza was not assessed a penalty on the play. Pionk suffered a concussion. He was given a 2-game suspension for kneeing Leafs defenseman Rasmus Sandin. An investigation is underway tonight into the cause of an early morning fire that left 2 people dead and gutted a Parkdale home. Greg Ross has the latest.
I looked at the window and there was just fire trucks from one end to the other.
It was just after 3:30 this morning when residents of Wilson Park Road realized that a house on their street was on fire.
I could see embers coming out of the 3rd floor off the roof, yeah.
But it looks gutted from top to bottom.
According to Toronto Fire, 3 people lived in the home. 2 of them died in the fire. The third, a woman in her 50s, escaped uninjured. Investigators still aren't sure how or where in the house the fire started and why the victims were not able to escape.
We don't know if there was mobility issues. We don't know if people were sleeping.
According to a GoFundMe page that was set up for the woman who escaped the fire this morning, she lived in the home with 2 siblings, and it was her sister and brother who died. While the damage to the home was extensive, fire crews were able to contain the fire and prevent it from spreading to any of the other homes on the street.
I'm asking everyone to check their smoke alarms today.
John Pegg from the Ontario Fire Marshal's office says 8 people in Ontario died in the first 6 days of December. Not having working smoke alarms was a key factor. Fire officials have not determined if that was a factor here.
Our investigators will look to see if smoke alarms are located on every floor and if they were functioning in this case. I do expect that we'll probably have fire investigations on scene for the next couple days, working with the Office of the Fire Marshal and Toronto Police to really find out what happened here.
Fire officials say there was no one other than the 3 siblings in the home at the time of the fire. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
You can expect at least 7 years of road closures and traffic delays in the downtown core. Toronto's executive committee approved construction plans today that will see 6 new subway stations built as part of the Ontario line. Chris Glover has the details.
With the long-delayed Eglinton Crosstown fresh on the mind, now Toronto is being told to brace for another construction marathon.
It is a monumental report in terms of its impact.
Hitting the mayor's executive committee today, years of construction plans for the Ontario line subway.
That stresses me out. That's a little stressful.
At King and Bathurst, sidewalks will close, creating walkways and curb lanes for 7 years. Similar impacts at Queen and Spadina, University and Queen, near Moss Park, and at King and Parliament. The biggest disruption is here for a new Queen station with full road closures on Queen Street from Bay all the way to Victoria for 4.5 years from May 2023 until end of November 2027.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of used to it, but what else can we do now, man?
Combining Ontario line construction with ongoing projects like rehabbing the Gardiner Expressway, Metrolink says it could add nearly 30 minutes to a downtown drive in the afternoon rush.
We have no choice. I mean, it's pain that will pay off with great infrastructure. There are strategies that can make this better, and the city should take its time, review them, look at all the options.
The city says traffic lights will be monitored and possibly resequenced. Plus, there could be penalties for contractors.
If they put in a bid that goes beyond what they said they were going to do, there are going to be financial penalties. So there has to be the oversight and management.
And incentives offered for quicker work.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
As the executive committee approved sending this plan to City Council next week, it approved a motion to reduce construction schedules and restrict some work to off-peak hours where possible. Still, downtown councillor Kristen Wong-Tam is concerned.
I am personally very nervous that Metrolinx will say all the right things at this point in time, get their approvals from City Council, and then we have to spend the next 7 to 10 years forcing them to oblige by our rules, right?
Especially since she says shutting down the hustle of the downtown could jeopardize Toronto's ability to emerge out of the hardships caused by the pandemic. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. A Toronto couple is desperately searching for answers for their 19-month-old daughter. Now, she's among only a handful of Canadian kids with a rare genetic disorder that causes life-threatening seizures. Not much is known about it, and there's no cure. But now there is hope. Samantha Beattie explains.
Good work. Keep going. Each step with her walker is an achievement for Maddie Kilner. She has an extremely rare and serious genetic disorder called SCN8A. It causes epilepsy and developmental delays. She was just 4 months old when she had her first seizure.
I was just walking by the room like I normally do, and I heard a rustle, and I went inside, and Maddie was just lying there with her eyes staring straight back, and I couldn't get her to come back, and I yelled for Cam. We called 911, and then that really was when everything changed for us.
Maddie has spent the last year in and out of Toronto's Sick Kids Hospital. She now takes 16 syringes of medication a day to control her seizures, and her parents are determined to find better treatments.
We really want to help find a cure. I mean, it's a very scary diagnosis with so many unknowns, and because it's so rare, it's really important that we do research to try and understand it better.
In 1 week, they've raised more than $80,000 for Sick Kids to run the first Canadian study on SCN8A.
We're just absolutely blown away by the support from absolutely everyone, and it means the world to us.
One Sick Kids doctor is hopeful the research will help them better treat and understand not only Maddie's rare disorder, but more common genetic conditions too.
We do think that the insights we've gotten so far from studying these genetic types of epilepsy have given us more insights into epilepsy overall.
He's also hoping to understand why Maddie and other kids with this disorder experience developmental delays.
One of the things that I'm hoping the research can accomplish in Maddie's case is to better understand what are the additional predictors or factors that seem to make that happen.
In the meantime, Maddie's parents are focusing on every small milestone she hits.
I would describe her as very determined.
Like standing and pointing.
It makes it even more motivating to really help research for Maddie and all the other amazing SCN8A families we've met.
Samantha Beattie, CBC News, Toronto.
You're looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline, partly cloudy with a few clear breaks tonight, and a cold one, currently -5 downtown, but feeling like -12. Let's go back to Colette now with a look at your extended forecast. And Colette, definitely feeling like December, but temperatures will be climbing as we get towards the end of the week.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So for those who are finding this a bit hard to take in, the colder air will just hang on a few days, and we're going to ride the roller coaster with some warmer air coming our way. But I'll tell you, tonight the temperature is going to be lower than it was this morning, but the winds will be less. So it's almost the same difference in terms of when we look at the wind chill, and that feels like temperature. So we still are going to have a chilly morning tomorrow morning. Some off and on flurries that we'll be seeing midday, and a little more enhanced to the north of us and to the south of the city as well, around the Niagara region. But there's that mild air coming towards the end of the week. So when I say hang on to Friday into Saturday, especially Saturday, is when we'll see those temperatures spiking. So a look at just a bit of activity bringing in that light kind of dusting. It's mostly just some flurries that move through and not much in the way of accumulations. We get a bit of clearing into the latter part of the day tomorrow, and before that maybe some sunny breaks mixed in there. And then into Thursday we're going to find things clouding over again, but with this next system working its way towards us, any of that flurry activity there, light snow should hold off until Thursday night, and then as temperatures rise, turning over to some rain showers. So just because of kind of a shift in the winds, you can see the areas here along the Bruce Peninsula. I was mentioning this earlier in the show, and in the lee of Georgian Bay there around Parry Sound, where you're going to see more significant amounts of some snowfall there. Your temperatures, look at Sarnia tonight, -9, so you'll be closer to that wind chill -12, because again, the winds are a little lighter, although I'll tell you for southwestern Ontario, we'll start to see a westerly wind back to 20 kilometers an hour as the day wears on. So it's still going to be pretty chilly with that daytime high, just barely getting to freezing there in Windsor. And well, for the overnight lows, a cool one here to start the day tomorrow, and we won't quite get to 0 for that daytime high. Toronto, I've got us at -1 for the high into the afternoon hours. By then, so this wind chill is for the morning. By the afternoon, it'll feel like about -4, so still cooler certainly than the thermometer. And then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, each day climbing with that. Yes, we may make it into the teens on Saturday, but unfortunately, like the last system, that warm-up comes with rainfall, Kelda. Aw.
Finally tonight, one Toronto charity is selling handcrafted aprons to help tackle the city's growing problem of food insecurity. Now, for every apron sold, Cooks Who Feed serves 100 nutritious meals. We met up with the organizer to learn about the inspiration behind the initiative.
Hi, I'm Seema, founder of Cooks Who Feed. I look at my most cherished memories. They all revolve around sharing a meal with friends and family. Knowing how many people go hungry, it really bothered me to know that forget, enjoying food or experience food the way that I do. They can't even meet their basic needs. And then knowing how much food just ends up in a landfill, I felt like, people should be more aware of what's happening and really try to solve this problem. All of our aprons are handmade in India, where we provide safe, fair trade work to marginalized women. Every apron actually comes with a hand tag that explains the impact, and it's signed by the lady who made your apron. And to help us in our mission, we've brought on the help of some chefs. So we have chef ambassadors who have designed some of the aprons, and we've named them after the one that they've designed. For every apron sold, it's 100 meals to the hungry. We do that by sharing the profits in each and every sale with charity partners. So our Canadian partner is Second Harvest. So every time you buy one of our aprons, a portion of those profits go to Second Harvest to help support the work that they do in providing meals to the hungry. So our goal for this year is to provide 500,000 meals. We're currently just shy of 400,000 meals, so we're almost there, and I feel really good. I think we can do it.
And you can still do your part this holiday season to support food banks across the GTA. CBC Toronto's Sounds of the Season fundraiser is working with the Daily Bread Food Bank. For more information on how you can help, go to our website at cbc.ca/SOTS. So far, we've raised over $404,000 and more than 150 pounds of food. And that's our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Dwight Drummond has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here tomorrow night at 11. And we'll leave you with this scene this afternoon at Nathan Phillips Square. The iconic Toronto sign getting a temporary makeover. A pink bandage has been added to the sign, the symbol of the city's COVID-19 vaccination campaign. The mayor hopes it will encourage more people to get vaccinated. Have a great night.